Hey there, financial coach. I am Coach Kelsa. I have been a financial coach for 12 years now, and the name of my business is Fiscal Fitness Phoenix. I am also the creator and founder of Financial Coach Academy, a training program for financial coaches. In this video, I wanted to talk with you about how to know if it's time to raise your prices. And if you do determine that it's time, how do you do it? What are some best practices for raising your prices? Before we dive into the juicy content, I would love it if you shared something with me. Go ahead and head into the comments and tell me what brings you joy in your financial coaching business. Even if you're brand new to the idea, what gets you really excited about the idea of financial coaching? If you've been doing it for a while, what is the thing that is bringing you joy today? Most of the time, what brings me joy in my business is my clients. But today it's something so much simpler. In the mail today, I received some new pens and new highlighters, which I know sounds so silly, but I'm telling you, it just gets me so delighted sometimes. New pens and new highlighters. I'm not sure if there's anything better sometimes. So tell me though, what is bringing you joy in your financial coaching business today? I wanted to cover a few options for you to get guidance and help if you are new to the idea of financial coaching or if you are a veteran financial coach. So the first one is joining the Facebook group Financial Coaches Unite. There are a ton of free resources in our Facebook group. We've done videos. If you hop on over into the unit section, we have all of the posts and the videos nicely organized for you. In the files section of that group, so many of us have shared contracts and handouts and exercises and flyers that we have created, and we are sharing them with others to support all of us and get better results with our clients. So please be sure to check that out. The other thing that you may want to know about is the book, The Financial Coaching Playbook. This is my baby. You can see it right here. And yes, I actually just so happen to have it on my desk. Do not look at my desk. It is pretty treacherous these days. Definitely need to spend a few minutes getting it organized, but the Financial Coaching Playbook, How to Easily Launch and Grow Your Coaching Business. It is a great way of inexpensively diving into this idea of financial coaching. So if the seed has just been planted for you, you've just heard about it, and you're not sure if this is really something you want to pursue before investing a ton of money into a program or a course or a brand new website or something like that, dive into this book. It's $39.99. You can find it on Amazon, Walmart, and Barnes & Noble. So it's a great way of really just, tiptoeing in to make sure this is a journey you do want to go down. If you are watching this video during COVID-19, you may want to look at Barnes & Noble and Walmart, and if those two ship to you, you might want to choose those before Amazon, simply because Amazon is prioritizing essential items. And while I think financial coaching is essential, Amazon may not agree with me. So it may just take a little bit longer if it comes from Amazon. So check out those other two options first. Another thing you may want to look at is the Financial Coach Academy course. You can find that at financialcoachacademy.com. If you know that this is the path for you, if you are ready to dive in, and if you want to shortcut all of the trial and error of becoming a financial coach, check out this online course that gives you step-by-step how to coach clients, how to have great discussions with them, but also how to build it as a business. So check that out. Finally, and lastly, if you've been coaching for a while and you are looking to dive deeper in conversation with your clients, if you are looking for a new way to challenge yourself, but also challenge your long-term clients, if you've sort of exceeded the normal budgeting and getting out of debt conversations, and you're sort of looking for that next topic you can challenge your clients with, check out the Financial Coaching Toolkit. I will provide links to all of these things in the description, but that is geared more for veteran financial coaches, and it's sort of all the exercises and handouts and conversations we have with clients that have been with us for years, and they have sort of laid that really solid foundation that we all help people set, and we're taking it up another notch. So check out the Financial Coaching Toolkit. So let's dive in to the topic for today, which is, how do you know if it is time to raise your prices? What are those key indicators I want you to look for? Now, the reason this is such an important video for me is because I did not know these indicators, and boy, did I ever do this wrong or wait way too late to raise my prices? Chances are you want to identify these indicators as early as possible so that you don't reach burnout, you don't get resentful, all of those things that can cause you to sort of like raise your prices in an abrupt way and really maybe harm some relationships with your clients in the process. So we're going to talk about what are those indicators, and then if these are lining up for you, these indicators, how do you go about raising your prices? How do you communicate that and all that jazz? So number one, how do you know is you believe in the value you deliver, and you believe it even if you were to raise your prices. So oftentimes when we're first starting, how much we charge is like just super random. We're just like throwing darts and we are hoping they land, right? And we just pick a number that maybe we can confidently say and state when we're quoting our prices. And we need to see the proof for a little while first before we can raise our prices. So one thing that you can look at is, do I believe now in the value that I offer? You can believe it at first, but not see it, right? Like you can hope and you can trust that you're going to deliver value for your clients, and then actually working with clients and seeing it firsthand, having them tell you firsthand that you are changing their life or saving their marriage or helping them to see goals for the first time they never wanted to admit to themselves. All of those things can help reinforce the conviction of, I believe full-heartedly that I deliver value for my clients. And if I were to double my prices or raise them by $100 or something like that, I still believe that the work I do is worth it at that price. So that is one thing to take inventory on. And again, sometimes really early on, we believe that we're going to deliver value, but we don't really know yet. So this is like the next phase where you're like, oh no, I can see that I'm getting results for people. The second indicator is your time with clients is maxed out. Maybe your goal was just to see clients 5 hours a week. Maybe it's like a part-time kind of business. Perhaps you want to see clients 25 hours a week because you still manage some of the administrative parts of your business or some of the marketing and those sorts of things. And if your client time, client-facing time is maxed out, you can't add another session without opening up more time blocks or, opening up another day or something like that. That is also an indication that it might be time to raise your prices. Another indicator, number 3, is that you are hitting a glass ceiling financially. So if you've reached a certain level of revenue in your business, and the only way to take it up a notch is to add more hours to your day or extend the number of client-facing hours or something like that, that is also another thing to look at, that it might be time to raise your prices, because you can't just keep investing more hours of every day to generate more money. Indicator number 4 is that it's time for you to up-level your clients. At first, again, it's really normal that we don't have our ideal client, our niche really figured out. We might have it sort of figured out, but then the more experienced we get with clients, the more we can really hone in on our ideal client. And we want our prices to somehow filter out the folks that are not our ideal client. So if you are sensing this time where like those who, lean into coaching, they're very committed, they show up energetically, they show up prepared to every session. If you're thinking that it is now time to really up level the quality of client that you see, it may also be time to raise your prices. If you've been coaching for, let's say, a year and you started doing it for free and then you started charging for it slightly sometime later, you might be able to see the difference where those who don't pay or pay very little show up differently than those who maybe are paying a higher price if you've raised your prices once already. And that is another way that we can, feel good about raising our prices again, is that we know the clients will actually get better results because they will show up differently, stronger, better because of that, because they now are invested and financially committed to the process as well. All right, number 5, you need to free up some time to work on other projects. So maybe you want to actually cut down on the number of client-facing hours you have without affecting your income so that you can use that freed up time to work on other endeavors. Maybe you want to launch a financial wellness program. Maybe you want to launch a group program. Maybe you want to design a course, or maybe you simply want to take some more time off. And if you don't feel like those things are possible at your current schedule, then another indicator is to raise your prices so that you can actually free up your time and sort of specialize with the few people that stay or the folks that stay, knowing that you can still make the same amount of money, serve those people really well, and use the freed up time to work on another area of your business that maybe is needing your attention. Let's see, number 6, clients are feeling committed to the process or journey, or they're not getting results. So if you can tell, like I was saying, that some of your clients are very committed and some of them are just not getting results, it might be time to raise your prices. And essentially what you're doing is you're having them reaffirm their commitment to the process, and not only energetically, but also by paying a premium for it, to say like, is this really something that I want? You're helping them to reconfirm whether the value there for them is really in place. So if you can look at your clients and you can see that some of them are not getting results, again, that's that up-leveling your client sort of situation. Or if you can see that they're not as committed to the process that you want them to be, I know it sounds counterproductive, but the reality is that when people have to invest financially, then they show up differently. Such an amazing psychology that happens. And I love studying this aspect of things, that raising your prices is actually such a good thing for the client. And if you can remember that, it makes this whole journey a lot easier. Another indicator, number 7, is that your conversion rate is really high. And I would say by high, I mean over like 75% or 75% or higher. And what that means is that no one's really saying no at your current rate. And this is a great growth perspective for you. It's hard to hear no. And what you're about to do is raise your prices. And what might be stopping you is the fact that you know you might hear no when you raise your prices. In fact, that's exactly what you want to have happen. You will be okay if people say no to you. I promise you. And what makes that easier, what gets you better at responding to that, is simply by setting it up so that that's what happens. So if you are converting almost all the prospects who come to you, or let's say 3 out of 4, chances are your prices are too low. The value that you describe, that you deliver, what you are able to do for a person, and the price you are charging is a no-brainer for them, okay? You want them to show up and have that be something that they know they have to show up and be really committed to the process in order to get results. And again, you know, that price is a big deal. So you actually don't want to be converting 75% or more of all of the people who come to you. At first, that's great, because again, what you gain from that is not just financial, you're gaining experience, knowledge, practice, you know, all sorts of things. But later down the road, which is probably where you might be if you're even thinking about raising your prices and wondering if you should, chances are you know, if you were to continue a year from now and 75% or more of the people who talk to you say yes, you would be in a pretty tough position. You wouldn't be able to tackle the amount of clients you have with the time that you have. So it's better to get ahead of that now if you can see that that's already happening. So those are the first 7. So those are typically the identifiers that you want to try and observe really quickly or as early as possible. And I want you to think about, out of those 7, how many ring true for you. And if all 7 ring true for you, you might already be experiencing the next 2, number 8 and 9. These identifiers usually happen if you have avoided the top 7 for too long. And that is, number 8 is you are starting to feel resentful towards your clients, or number 9, you are feeling burnt out. I am going to show you, you guys know, if you are in Financial Coaches Unite already, you know I sometimes draw sketches and pictures, and they are glorious and amazing. And by glorious and amazing, I mean ugly and not so cool. But that's okay. They make the point. So here is a drawing that I want to show you. And this is a diagram that demonstrates your emotional health. Okay, so let's see if I can guide you through this. Here's your emotional health, and here's time. Up here, it says how you think you feel. And you can see it's just degrading slightly, right? Like you think like, okay, a little bit. It's like getting lower and lower my emotional health, right? But what's actually happening is this stark decline, very sharp decline. And the gap is actually the shock of burnout. what you want to try and do is catch these 7 indicators that I listed first are actually going to help you identify the burnout and the emotional health, early on, when that gap is slightly, small. But if you don't, then what happens is it starts to grow. And then when you are feeling burnt out and you are aware that you are feeling burnt out or you're feeling resentful, you're way down at the bottom. That gap is now huge. You were actually feeling burnt out earlier. We just tend to make excuses about that, or we tend to justify it, or we tend to look for all these other solutions around us in order to mitigate the burnout. When really what we want to do is we want to catch it as early as possible. But if you haven't, number 8 and number 9, you might be way on that other end of the spectrum. And when I say that I did this wrong, I was in this big gap over here. I didn't know any of those 7 indicators. I wasn't aware of it. And so I slowly started to get more resentful. Like I was caring more than my clients, or I was working too hard. I was giving too much of myself. I didn't have enough things to combat that. And at the end of the day, I got resentful and I started to feel burnt out. And if my goal for all financial coaches is that you help as many people through your lifetime as possible, then that means you have to do this for a lifetime. And in order to do this for a lifetime, we have to manage our energy levels. We have to make sure that we're setting clear boundaries and that we are doing this in the most successful way possible for both ourselves and our clients. So I want to prevent you from reaching burnout. Please learn from my mistakes. The idea with this is you might be thinking things like, well, my clients don't respect me, or they don't value what I'm doing, or I deserve so much more than this, or I know my prices are way too cheap. What is wrong with me? Like all of these really negative thoughts could be happening. And really what your client might be thinking is like, I'm just paying the price you quoted me, right? Like they're not doubting. A lot of them are not going to be doubting whether or not you are worth double your price. It's that we are afraid to command that price and we are sort of blaming them for feeling resentful, okay? So if you are feeling either of these things, I want you to know I've been there, I've done it, and it's not to say that you're in the wrong by any means. And the more we talk about these, and if you've experienced it, likely that means that you will prevent that from happening again in the future. So let's talk about how to actually raise your prices. So if you are landing on out of these 9, if you have 8 or 9 already happening for you, it is a no-brainer. You have to raise your prices. If you aren't experiencing 8 or 9, look at the first 7 and really ask yourself, how many of these ring true to you? How many of these really resonate with how you're feeling and what you're observing in your business? And it might be, if you are only experiencing one of them, maybe you raise your prices slightly, or for some people, or for new people coming on board, okay? If you're experiencing a number of these, like let's say half of them or more, you might need to do a pretty big sweep, a big change to not only new clients coming on board who didn't know that that was a price increase because they didn't know you a month ago, but also to current clients, which I know is really tricky. So let's dive into that. Couple of things that I want to say first that will really help you in this stage is the first one is having a robust referral partner list set up. So it's essentially a way of having a downsell or second tier option. So if somebody comes to you and they, they're either not a good fit because you're up leveling your client, or they can't pay your prices, or they're not seeing the value in it, or you simply don't think you can help them, then knowing that you are putting them in the hands of somebody who can help them makes this whole journey so much easier. So whether that is another financial coach who's just getting started, who is looking for somebody to do it as a beta client or for really inexpensive or for free, or another resource, a website, another online course, something like that, that you can refer them to so they are getting the help, but you're simply not the one serving them and building that resentment. The other option here, second tiered sort of option, is maybe you, instead of one-on-one coaching, your private coaching, maybe you have an online digital course, which allows you to give them that backup plan if they feel as if your prices are too high, or if they feel as if they can't afford your coaching program, which we could do a whole other video, and we have inside of the Financial Coach Academy, about pricing objections and why people think they can't afford it when maybe they can, or if they feel like, you know, the prices are too high. Typically, that's actually not a price issue. It's a value issue, but we will cover that in another video. This is not the video for that. So, but the idea is giving them that option. If they say, you know, that's not something I feel comfortable with or whatever, giving them that second tier option at least lets you know that you are serving them really well, but you're not bending over backwards to do it for free or for an amount less than what you feel like you deserve. The other one, another way that this can be easier is, you know, leaning on or leaning in to the relationships that you've built with current clients. Chances are they are now stronger than ever. If you've been working with people for a little while, you can see just how valuable your work is with them. And right before you are considering making this change in your business to raise prices, really reflect on those. Keep them front and center in your mind. Read testimonials for clients. Pull up those emails where a client tells you that you saved their marriage and that they feel so much better because of you, and they can sleep at night and they are dreaming again, and like all of the things that we do for clients. Now is the time to hold those dear, because this isn't going to be easy for some people to raise their prices. All right, so the first tip in raising your prices is to give plenty of notice. Maybe you give 60 days notice, for example. You don't want to just drop it on them and say at the end of one session, by the way, your next session 2 weeks from now is going to be double or something like that. You're not giving them enough time to prepare. We likely all help our clients with budgeting. We want them planning ahead with their money. And I feel like this is our way of honoring how we want people to make decisions, which is cautiously and intentionally and being really patient with things. And so I feel like we should just lead by example in the way we run our business. The second one is sending an email and letting people know that changes are coming, and to include a scheduling link. Maybe it's a 20-minute phone call with you where you can have this conversation with them over the phone. While you can absolutely communicate this via email, and you might have to for some people who don't schedule, I believe these types of changes are done so much more successfully and effectively by doing it through a phone conversation or in a session. And I know you may be thinking like, oh, I don't want to do that. You don't want to do that because it's awkward, but I want you to think about how it feels from the client's perspective to have a conversation with you about it versus getting an email from you, okay? For so many people, you guys, it's not even the fact that you're changing the price that is affecting them. It's the change in general. It's just change, and change for some people is really hard. You are their coach. Allow them to share how they're feeling and what they're thinking and all of those things with you, and trust that you can handle that, okay? Focus on clients that you know love you and will continue no matter what price you charge. So let's say you've got 50 clients and 20 of them make comments like, oh my God, I would pay you double. Or, oh, I tell everybody you're worth like every penny I spend. Or you've changed my life. You're going to be with me forever. Like those types of comments. And you love them, and you know, just like the conversations are amazing, you can see the results they're getting you, and they acknowledge the results that you are helping them to see, okay? Take those 20 clients and send the email out and have the conversation with all of them first. Here's why. That will set the tone for how you feel for the rest of it. If the first 20 folks are like, oh my God, no problem. I was wondering when you were going to raise your prices. I feel like what you do is so valuable, and I couldn't believe you were only charging X for as long as you were, or something like that. Then I promise you that the energy that you take into the remaining 30 phone calls will be so different, because they are letting you know they support you. They are seeing what you're seeing. So if somebody else down the road isn't, it feels less hurtful. It feels like less of a big deal. At first, when you are having those conversations, you likely feel a little bit of doubt. You're not feeling super confident about this. And those first 20 clients who sort of shower you with affirmation and validation that this is okay and that they're going to be with you no matter what will simply help to resolve some of those worries. And it's pretty incredible. I wish I could tell you just to believe it wholeheartedly right early on, but I know that it's not as simple as that. So get these 20 people bought in and have those conversations. It's also really good to practice the conversation with them. Chances are they're going to love you no matter if you explain it wrong, or if you say the wrong thing, or if you sort of like hang up the phone and you're like, wow, I don't even know. I just explained that and I don't even know what I just said, sort of thing. So what you're doing is you're practicing with the people that love you no matter what, and getting all of that under your belt so that in the time when clients come that maybe have the objections and they're asking more questions or they've got more doubt, you aren't also practicing how to say it. You can simply feel more focused and intent on the client and helping them to navigate how they're feeling about everything. The other thing is with that is, let's say 25 of your 50 clients, are totally fine with you raising your prices. And simply by those 25 people continuing with you, you're going to make the same amount of money as you were doing before, and you freed up half of your time. From there on out, as much as you want to help every other person and you don't want them to go, it feels better knowing it's ultimately their choice and you are okay either way. Okay. So highly recommend prioritizing your client list when you are doing the reach out. Most people want to do it like alphabetical or some sort of, order. Look at the ones that you have the best relationships with and start there. The next strategy for this, number 4, is share the value. And what I mean by that is share the new value. So it's likely, let's say it's been a year since you raised prices or 2 years. It is likely that either you have done trainings during that time, you've gained more skills, you've gained more experience, certainly, because you've had a lot of client sessions over that time. You have grown as a coach during that time. Share that with them. I have no doubt that now, after 12 years of doing this, I can get faster results for a client than I could 10 years ago. Same client, same details, same factors, same situation, and likely I can simply get faster results with them because I have seen more things now. I have become better equipped. I've got more tools in my toolkit. All of these things. And if I can get you faster results, if I can get you results in 3 months instead of 6, and you've got the exact same problem, then to me, you are saving time, you're saving energy, we're cutting out a lot of trial and error, and that is valuable to a person, right? So don't be afraid to describe the new value of working with you. And again, it could be a number of things: new skills, new trainings that you've taken, more experience, all those things. Another thing that it could be by new value is you simply believe now in the value of what you were saying before. And if you can state it more confidently, if you can own it better, if you can give more examples to what you sort of had ideas of before, I thought I could deliver that value, but now I see it. Now I really believe it at my core. That is also increased value. And you want to, really refine what that is and describe it to your clients. The other thing, not only should you focus on the value to the client, but also if you haven't raised your prices in a while, feel free to say that. Say, I haven't raised my prices in 3 years. A lot of clients maybe won't care. And so what I would probably do is keep this in my back pocket. I wouldn't sort of come out and say it to every single client, but if it's a person who sort of has objections or, is questioning the value, you could say, I have not raised my prices in a few years. The cost of running a business has gone up. We've added more tools so we can serve you better. These types of things cost money, whatever the case may be, and use it more from a financial, mathematical standpoint, as well as the intrinsic and tangible benefits that you are giving to them as well. So just know this is something that you might keep in your back pocket. If you've got, like the very analytical type of client, maybe the fact finder, this person is going to ask a lot of questions. They're going to want to know every perspective on this decision, on why you made it. This is also maybe one of those reasons. So that is something to consider. And when it comes to the increased value, you can say, we are streamlining things. We're adding some efficiency tools that cost money so that our time is freed up so that we can continue to serve you better. So we can be more responsive when you call and ask a question, so that maybe we can come up with new exercises for you and those sorts of things. And again, always bring it back to the client on why that is important for them and essentially why they're going to be paying for it. Number 6, I like to use the word that we are changing prices, or we're changing our offerings, or we are up leveling our programs, instead of saying we are increasing our prices. chances are we are not simply increasing our prices for the sake of increasing our prices. Although that's okay too. It's likely that most of us didn't go into it at that level. There's so much depth that goes into this decision. It's not simply, raising prices for no other reason. So to me, it puts a focus or a light on the wrong point. And so I like to, in an email or when I first start a conversation with somebody, when I'm getting those phone calls lined up, as I'm saying, we're going to be changing our program offerings. We're going to be changing, some of our structure over here. And one of those things is we are raising our prices. This is what that looks like. For you, this is what this would look like on this date. Maybe it's 2 months from now. This month, your payment that month would increase to X. Okay. So you really want to make it tangible for them and then sort of say, tell me what you think. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me what questions you have about this, and allow them to tell you exactly what they're thinking and how they're feeling. And just know that you can handle that. It is okay. I promise. Okay. If you have contracts in place with somebody, obviously you're not going to want to change their agreement. So if I, have a 4-month agreement with somebody, I might have this conversation with them that this is what's happening in month 5. So after your current agreement, here's what's going to happen. If you had a 1-year agreement with somebody, you may not want to change it during the agreement. It's not to say you can't. It depends on the way your contract is written. I just question how I would feel if that was done to me. And if you are catching this early enough because of these indicators, you aren't at the point where you have to do it or you're going to close up shop because you're so frustrated and so burnt out. You're doing it and you're going to roll these changes out over time for people who are in a contract with you already. Okay. The other thing that I would say want the clients to know about if they are in a contract, and why you might just want to have a conversation with them about it, is so that they know if they are referring friends and family and colleagues to you, they may be quoting prices that aren't accurate for them. So you may want to let them know, hey, this isn't changing for you. This isn't anything you need to necessarily know for your budget or for your finances. But I did want you to know that we are restructuring our offerings and it's going to look like this. The monthly fee is this. So, if you are talking with a friend or a family member, just know that, if you quote them your price, they might feel blindsided when they come in and we quote them something different. I have found the majority of my clients appreciate that communication because they don't want to offend or, blindside their friend or colleague by accident. Okay, another strategy that you can use that helps with raising prices is in the first year that you do this, or when you initially launch your change, offer a pay in full option that is less than the new price that you're about to quote, but still more than the old prices. And you don't want to do this year after year, but you can do this sort of one time. And it's a way of sort of softening the blow a little bit and letting them know that you are appreciating their loyalty. You are appreciating their commitment. You're appreciating them for being a great client, but you are, still going to make this change, but in order to make that easier for them, here's your way of saying thank you, sort of thing. The last one is know that some people are going to say no. Chances are, depending on the indicator above, the reason you are doing this, that's actually your goal, but sometimes we forget going in that that's going to happen, and we don't really play that through all the way. So we fear it and we don't want it to happen, and yet we kind of want it to happen at the same time. We want to free up our time. We maybe want to not feel so burnt out, all of those things. And so the idea is that remember going in, go into it with this mindset that some people are going to say no, and that is okay. Your goal is to show up in a way that you feel really proud of. Communicate in a way that makes you feel really good. Like you did the best you could to let them know their options, let them know if you want to work with them, why you think this is good for them. And at the end of the day, it is their choice, but you want to sort of lay your head down at night and say I did the best that I could. And I know this is right for everybody and for my future. If you are on the verge of burnout and the only option is you raise your prices or you sort of quit because you just can't work at this level for so long with, and keep going and feeling exhausted and all of that, please raise your prices. It will free up so much frustration for you. It'll free up some time. Yes, some people will say no, but right now you're considering maybe saying no to all of them and sort of quitting, and that is not worth it either. And it may not be that dramatic for you at this level, but the reason I am expressing this is because I've seen it happen to so many people. I was there at one point as well. So I want to prevent that from happening to you. I want you to know, even if you don't need to raise your prices, but you're thinking about it, it might be time. Don't wait until you absolutely need to do it or else. Okay. So I would love to hear from you. Please share with me what you're thinking. Tell me how many of the 9 indicators that I listed above are resonating with you. Tell me, of the 8 strategy ideas that I gave you for rolling out a price change, tell me how many of them you think you're going to use. Tell me which one of those you like. Tell me which one maybe doesn't fit that right with you or your personality or the way you do things. That's totally okay too. But I want to hear from you. Please let me know. Thank you for tuning in, and I wish you the best of luck in raising your prices. Bye, everybody.